child support, what is it? What are the calculations? How do you consider what your exposure is when it comes to child support obligations? The Child Support Standards Act in the state of New York requires that a non-custodial parent pay to the custodial parent child support in a percentage. If there's one child, it is generally 17% of your gross income, less FICA, which is Social Security tax. If there's 2 children, it's 25% of your gross income. If it's 3 children, it's 29% of your gross income. If it's 4 children, it's 32% of your gross income. If it's beyond 4 children, it's up to the discretion of the court, and it's going to be over 32%. How does child support get determined? It's based on your tax returns, your W-2s, your paycheck stubs. Those are all things that the court is going to examine. In addition to the basic child support obligations that you are required to pay, there are other elements of child support that are called statutory add-ons. What are the statutory add-ons? There are expenses associated with child care for when the custodial parent is either working or going to school. That doesn't mean that you have to pay for child care when the parent who has custody of the kids is going out on a date or on a weekend to go shopping or something like that. It's for purposes of school or work. You will be required to pay for health insurance as well. The children are required to be insured through health insurance. You are going to be required to pay for unreimbursed medical expenses. And then there is also statutory add-ons for purposes of enhanced educational experiences. What I always tell everybody when they come in and talk to us is that essentially if you have children enrolled in private school or preschool or something of that nature, the court is not going to require the kids to be taken out of preschool or private school. They're going to keep them in that scholastic environment while the case is pending. The kids are going to have as little impact on the divorce or separation as possible, and the courts are going to make sure that they stay in place for that. Your statutory add-ons are paid in a fashion that is proportionate to your income. What do I mean by that? If you are the only one in the family that is making money, you're going to have to pay 100%. If you and the custodial parent are both making the same amount of money, you're both earning 50-50, then your expenses associated with it are going to be 50% for things like health insurance, unreimbursed medical expenses, and child care. The same goes for college education. Oftentimes, if there's a divorce or you're splitting up and the children are really young, college expenses can be too speculative at that point in time. What I tell everybody when they're talking about that situation, if you have really young children, if mom and dad have both gone to college, chances are the children are going to go to college, so what you should do is talk about that and address it now rather than having to get back into court at a later point in time. When it comes to college expenses, there is a dollar-for-dollar credit on your basic child support obligations for expenses that you pay to a university for room and board, because basic child support is designed to pay for food, clothing, and shelter. So if you're paying for room and board at SUNY Buffalo or SUNY Albany or SUNY New Paltz, you're essentially paying you're paying for food and shelter for the child, so you're going to get a dollar-for-dollar credit for that. Most of the time, the college expenses are going to be capped at what we as attorneys, the jargon term is we call it the SUNY cap. That's the prevailing rate at the State University of New York's, any of the universities, and what the tuition, room, and board is going to be. So unless you have a family where mom and dad have both gone to an Ivy League school and the expectations are that the children are going to go to an Ivy League school, your exposure for college expenses is generally going to be capped at whatever a state university is requiring to be paid, and again, that will be proportionate to your income. So those are the basics of your child support obligations. Those are the basics of what you can anticipate you're going to have to pay. Yes, it is your gross income, not your net income, so you have to take that into consideration when you're figuring out what your exposure is going to be. And obviously, if you have any questions, please give us a call, pick up the phone, and come see us, and we'll be happy to go over it with you in detail.